Welcome to Fire Your Doctor with your host, Dr. Danielle Lockwood.
And Richard Lockwood.
Hey,
Welcome. We
thanks.
are on episode 32.
Yeah,
Detox isn't just what you eat. I think this got inspired by everybody going into the New Year's and getting into cleanses and resolutions and all of those things. We're going to talk about some other things you might not think about when you're trying to detox.
getting sick's a detox.
What's that?
I said getting sick's a detox.
Getting sick of detox?
Getting sick is a detox.
Oh, getting sick is a detox. Yes, we have talked about that and how it cleanses the body and it renews the cells. And we don't shy away from getting sick, but we also are not trying to go lick garbage cans and get sick. Yeah.
You're the one that's like taking it to a 10.
So, what are we talking about? So, detox, we use that word a lot. There's a lot of different ways you can interpret that. It really means to open up and clean out things from your body that are not supposed to be there. And your body naturally detoxes as long as it has all the right ingredients to do so. For example, B vitamins and magnesium and minerals and trace minerals and glutathione. And what else does it need to detox? Vitamin C, we talked about that. So as long as it has the ingredients, it's able to detox effectively. But we're going to talk detox beyond food and supplements. And we're going to talk about inputs of things that we put in our body that are basically nutrition. Nutrition is in parentheses for the nervous system. Okay.
Sure.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think the first thing is, who are you hanging out with?
What's that have to do with detox?
Well, emotional, I love this. People you hang out with are an emotional contagion.
I would say that there's also this way that it's like, even like you don't drink alcohol on a regular basis, but when you hang out with certain people, like you will have a glass. If
Mhm.
you were the type of person that would have like a glass or two of wine, let's say every week, and you were hanging out with certain people, that one glass would turn into two or three if you were hanging out with those people. And so I think there's also this way that these can subtly shift our perspectives. And so I think what you're saying, you're making kind of an insinuation here that it's like our company isn't just that person. You're also in some ways kind of like bringing on some of that person's perspectives, worldview, and values.
Yes.
And that those are going to influence everything from like, what does that person spend money on? What are that person's, personal and intimate relationships like? What are their food choices of things that they consume?
There's a expression in the self-help type of world or like the self-development type world where they say that you are the sum of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. I think that's really true. And especially the 5, let's just say the 5 voices that you hear the most, right? So that could be if you're working on spiritually developing yourself and you're in the word of God every day. You're literally in the Bible every day and listening to those words start to become one of those voices, would you say?
Actually, this is something that it's interesting. You mentioned self-help. You start talking self-help, it starts to be a little bit maybe new age and things like that. But this is actually very biblical. And so I would even argue that new age even took these kind of principles from the Bible. When we look at it, there's a verse in the Bible in the New Testament where Jesus says that you will be judged by every idle word. And so it's like, again, let's go to that kind of thing with like hanging out with people. There's certain people that if they're spending the entire time kind of just complaining about their work, and it's like, I get it. Sometimes you're just things aren't what you would like them to be. But there's kind of this way. It's like, well, oh, they're complaining about work. Well, I guess I'll complain about work. Well, they're complaining about their wife or girlfriend or husband or whatever. Well, oh yeah, hey, my wife does that too, or whatever. You almost feel like you have to I've got to join in this somehow. And these idle words can start shifting perspectives.
Absolutely. And then, especially if you have this deeper fear of belonging that's in you, like you've been abandoned before, or you just want to belong, you just want to fit in,
Mm.
though that becomes more of a slippery slope.
Like I'm going to people please by just kind of agreeing with what these people are saying, even if I don't deep down really agree, but then that starts to get in.
Yes.
And then it's like, well, My wife was rude to me. I deserve an extra slice of pie or an extra beer or an extra this or an extra that.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of going the opposite of a detox.
Well, and let's rap about this for a little bit,
All right.
as you would say. That's actually a Richard-ism.
It's actually from like the 70s and 80s where like, hey, let's rap. And it was like, okay, like
Let's go
Eminem
back and
gets up
forth.
and yeah,
Yeah.
no, let's converse.
Let's converse.
It's
Let's
a dialogue.
there's actually a really great verb in Spanish, and the word is charlar. It's like to chitter chat, to chat.
Like a little squirrel.
Yeah. So let's charlar a little bit. So I'm wondering if, okay, so people use this argument, especially, I didn't grow up in the church. This isn't familiar to me, but I hear this a lot. Like, well, you know what? Jesus ate with the prostitutes and the tax collectors, and we just need to surround ourselves with everybody. We just need to be the salt and the light. And that is true. That's true.
Are you taking that one or do you want me
I
to?
want I want you to I want you to. I kinda know what you're gonna say, but I'm more like asking to create the conversation.
Jesus did not surround himself with prostitutes. He
Mhm.
surrounded himself with 12 men that were literally willing to just walk away from their entire lives and careers and risk death to follow him.
Mhm.
That's who Jesus surrounded himself with. One of those guys turned out to be a traitor. That kind of stank. Okay, Judas, like, oof. He went out on the mission field and ministered to people like that. So that's like if you and I wanted to go set up a homeless outreach or an outreach for people that are on drugs or on the street.
Mhm.
It's not like I'm just like hanging out on like Saturday night and inviting those people and like, hey, why don't you just sleep in my kid's bed? Like, sure. It's like, no, that's mission field. But he surrounded himself with people like the equivalent of like when he met
Matthew.
Matthew was a tax collector
Mhm.
and he just kind of like left his whole book of business and everything and was just like, whatever. I'm just going to sign all the profits over, all the money that maybe I should or shouldn't have been taking. I'm just going to just donate it to charity. I'm all in, Jesus. And he just kind of walked away with the clothes on his back and nothing else.
Yep, that's true.
And so then you get like, oh, what is it? James and John, and then like whatever, the Sons of Thunder. And there were a lot of them that were fishermen. And
Yes.
they kind of just left their boat, left their net. That'd be the equivalent if you're a contractor. It's just like
You
you
left
just
your truck and your tools.
your tools, your CCB, your bond, your insurance, your bank accounts, and you just literally just started walking.
Yeah, but I think
That's who Jesus surrounded
right.
himself with.
I thank you for saying that because I think that he
Was
actually
that what you were looking for? I
yeah,
didn't. That was
well,
spontaneous. We didn't plan that.
I know. Well, he does want us to have discernment, and we should have discernment with who we're hanging out with. We
Mhm.
should keep counsel. That doesn't mean we can't be friends with people who are non-Christian. For example, I have friends who are not Christian. I have friends who are, of other cultures and whatever. However, what is the having discernment over as to who you are going to be taking advice from and who you are going to allow to influence your behavior?
Let's talk about the word entertain,
Mhm.
actually. And this actually be a dovetail if you kind of wanted to go off on another one. But in the there's this term of like, oh, well, I'm entertaining friends, or I'm just watching Netflix as entertainment. But there's also this idea of entertaining an idea. So I'm going to entertain this idea. It means you're kind of playing it over in your mind, you're considering it. Right? There is this way that when we are entertaining friends, when we are consuming entertainment, that we're also kind of like, maybe we're not letting those ideas into our innermost soul, but they're definitely in our front entryway. In the analogy of like you or myself as like a house, it's like they're guests. They're coming into the entryway. Maybe they're sitting down in the living room having a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So, what and who are we entertaining?
Great question. And who do we reject from that circle? And how have we had to reject those people?
Actually, I have like a rule of thumb on that.
Okay.
I go by outcomes. So there's some people I know. I've been involved in a lot of different things, motorsports, like auto racing, competitive shooting, computer programming, all these types of things. And you'll run into people that are very, very brilliant in their specific thing that they do.
Yeah.
You hang out with a professional martial artist and like they're going to be really good at martial arts. Maybe I don't want to take tax advice from him. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so I will kind of look at and evaluate friendships and things that I want to entertain as far as like outcomes. You know what I mean? Somebody that's been married for a long time, has a great family and stuff like that. It's like, okay, hey, how are you doing this?
Right. And like, yeah, exactly. It's like I don't often take financial advice from somebody who doesn't have a good track record of making good financial decisions.
I guess maybe they would have a one like, "Hey, don't do what I did."
Yeah, don't I would like
Like,
that.
there's a little
And
bit of that. "This is how I
actually,
went broke."
yes, actually we do have some friends and they were very honest with us. They have been very financially successful
Mhm.
and they were honest with us. Hey, you know what? When I was your age, we had multiple $1 million of debt and
Yeah.
here's why that happened and
And
don't
here's
do
how we
that.
got
And
that.
here's how we got out of
Yeah.
it.
So
And
it's not like I'm
that was an important conversation, but
yeah.
it's like watching that track record of
Yeah.
through time. And they are, these are good people. Those people don't happen to be Christian people, right? They're very nice people, but they're not Christian people.
But as far as money advice
As
and as
far
far
as,
as, like,
yep,
setting up a business and the logistics, so I would say the fruit of that is, like, these are people that have multiple multi-million-dollar businesses, and so it's like, "Okay, let's talk business."
and also have a track record of being really good employers and
They've been married a long time too.
been married a long time. There's certain,
I'd have a caveat on that, though. If you're having somebody that is like and I'm just setting up a hypothetical, but if you had somebody that is like, "I'm gonna have the most successful business," take their advice with that in mind, meaning that that person might, if they're really good at having business, maybe they're not that great at family, and
yeah,
their advice of, like, "Work till midnight," might be great if you were single, but it's not gonna be good if you have young children.
right. This took me a while to learn.
So there's a balance.
I didn't really fully start to completely comprehend that whole thing until I was in my 30s. And then I was like, oh, I can't just carte blanche take advice from this person. I need to look at the nuances of where they're successful and what that means. Like, for example, you were saying they might be incredibly successful
Organizing their house.
at organizing their house, but they have very hard relationships with their children, for example.
Right.
Right? So it's like or they might be really successful at business, but they might have a very terrible marriage and they've sacrificed their family and children and
Mhm.
marriage in order
And
to
that
get
would
that business. I would start to go,
I would
"Hmm."
discount their business advice because it's kinda like, "Well, I'm not gonna throw my family on the altar of making my business work."
Right,
So,
exactly.
but even still, hey, if this person says this is the way to do it, that would be something to think about because it's something they're good at.
And that's discernment versus uh, rejection. I was listening to a podcast the other day. I don't know this terminology either, but they call it like missionary
Missionary dating, is that
dating.
where you're
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
missionary dating. And again, did not grow up in the church, did not know this.
It's a newer kinda
It's a
term, but it's
nerd.
kind of a Protestant kinda thing that you'll hear
Yeah.
about.
So what's missionary dating? It's where you basically want to date somebody who doesn't have the same belief system as you and doesn't share the value of Christ.
I mean, yeah, it's basically you're gonna date if you're a Christian, you're gonna date a non-Christian and like, "Oh, well, we're gonna have a Christian wedding, and
And
then you're gonna start coming to church, aren't you?"
yeah,
Or like,
like trying to recruit them that way,
"Well, I mean, for us to really get married, you would need to get baptized Catholic."
or
So,
whatever. Yeah,
oh, kind
there
of
you
just a
go.
kind of a sly close.
It's a it's a vibe for sure. It's a choice. I don't know if I know people who
I've
I've
seen
seen
people do
it
it.
be very successful. The one that I can think of that's actually really successful, we listen to a lot of their stuff is the Bevirs. And that was kind of what he did. He just started kind of dating her
They had a
and
like,
yeah, but it was a hard marriage. If you've listened to their marriage stuff,
yeah, I
they
mean,
really fought for that.
they're in their late 50s or 60s?
Probably 60s now.
Yeah,
They
they're in
have
their
grown
60s,
children, they have grandchildren.
married for like 40 years or something.
They're great. They're awesome. However, that was a
I think
hard
10 year 5 the first
10
5 to
years
10 years of their
of their
marriage.
marriage was really intense, and there was a lot of fighting and warring.
Yeah, to the point they were almost in divorce and, like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
was
it was wild, but so I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. But again, it's like,
missionary dating.
well, we're on a mission to be good to people and be the salt and the light. Yes.
There's a certain amount
However,
of coping in that.
yeah, but let's back it up just
Detox.
even for like the the people who are not, within that sphere. There are also relationships
Okay.
friendships specifically that I've had to put
Reframe,
aside and
yeah.
reframe and take a step away and redefine once I started to put my values in line.
Okay, well, let's talk about some things that are actually pretty popular in the secular non-Christian self-help.
Mhm.
One is gratitude, and number
Yeah.
2 are affirmations.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, number one, gratitude. If you are not thankful in your life, then you will just torpedo your life. Even if you don't even really know who you're saying thank you for or to, like just having gratitude, like, you know what? There are so many people that
Don't
aren't,
have a house.
they don't have a house, they don't have like a career, they don't have they don't live in a country that is free from war. They don't, anyway, running
Food in the
water,
food on the
basic
table, basic needs.
toilets. You can go to a grocery store. And so here we are, some of the most, all of us, if you're an American, and yeah, even if you're even, even the whatever,
Poorest
the poorest
American,
American's doing better than somebody in
the slums of
Rwanda.
India.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Than an untouchable,
Yep.
outside Delhi. Yeah. So the point is number one, gratitude. That is absolute something that is going to just start detoxing your mind just real quick
Well,
because
and I also think with that, hanging around with friends who have a grateful heart. I'm
yeah,
grateful for your friendship. I
yeah.
appreciate your time. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. I'm going to make time in my schedule to meet with you.
I would also put gratitude on a kind of a third party gratitude. If you have a friend, like a kind of a measuring line or a heuristic is,
Mhm.
do they have gratitude not just for me in their life, but do they have gratitude when something good happens to me and not them?
Correct. Yeah,
Can
the
they just be like,
ability.
I'm just so glad that happened to you? Like,
Yeah,
I want, hey, if somebody's got to have it, I might as well be my friend and not go into
exactly.
like a jealous.
Jealousy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a deep spiritual principle. So number one, gratitude. Number two, we were talking about entertaining. What kind of thoughts are we entertaining in our own minds? And then what kind of thoughts are we entertaining via kind of conversations and friend groups? And that gets into something that's also this is a Christian principle, but it's also kind of become, secular and self-help. And that would be affirmations. What
Mhm.
are you saying? So everything, when you read the creation story in the Bible, it's like, and God said, let there be light. And God said this, and God commanded the earth, bring forth plants and, animals. And God said this, and God saw man and said that it was good. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And so, and God said, and God is speaking all of these things into being. And when we think about it, all of human endeavor starts with an idea expressed in thoughts that are words. What if we got married and had a baby? And
What if
all of
we
a
did
sudden,
that?
we got married and had a
Had a
baby.
baby.
What if we started a clinic? What if you became a doctor?
Yeah.
All of these things started as kind of these ideas and thoughts, and these thoughts are giving birth, and they're giving birth to fruit. So it's almost like when we have these thoughts and things like that, when we have these affirmations, if it's like every day, it's like, I'm a loser. I hate my job. I hate this. I hate that. I hate the other thing. It's like, well, okay, so you had a bad trip home and you've cursed your car. You've cursed your job. You've cursed your fact that you're not 7 feet tall and a multi-million-dollar basketball player. I mean, you've cursed everything in your life. And so
Yeah.
affirmations. So, okay, if you're a Christian, you just told God that you hate what he's created. So why wouldn't God just destroy it? Well, you think this is garbage? Let's go throw the garbage in the garbage dump because that's what you're speaking over yourself.
Yes.
And that's also what you're training your mind to.
And the power of the word.
Yeah. And
Right.
so these things are Christian principles, but you'll also see it all over in self-help. And it seems at first like, well, that's stupid. What does that even make a difference? It's like, well, you're doing it right now, number one. And it does seem stupid, but there is this way that what you speak over your life, if you align yourself with those things that you speak and you really are in alignment, then you're going to get somewhere. And maybe not over the course of like a day. It's not like, okay, I wish for $1 million and the genie pops up. If he does, it's a demon. But yeah, no, in all the Arabian Nights, all
It's all
the jinns and
demons.
the genies, those were bad guys. The Ifrits and stuff,
Yeah.
they were bad. They were demons.
Although
Anyway,
they danced and sang really well in the Disney version.
well, yeah, and then they gave you a bunch of free stuff, but there's a catch.
There's always a catch.
No, so anyway, no, but realistically, whatever that we align ourselves with, we're going to get
Mhm.
because that's what God gave us. He created us in his image. And so we also have that ability to call things forth. And this is why Christians, this is why prayer matters. Why does an infinitely powerful God need some dude in Camas, Washington to pray for something? Because I am participating in God's creation to bring something good into being. So that's what prayer is. Anyway,
Yeah, I
we're getting off
agree.
topic on detox, but
No, it's not because
this is like,
we have to understand who should we actually be in our life. This isn't charity. This is like you and who you spend your time with and what information you consume and what advice you take
Mhm.
and how you share your life matters.
Well, and I guess that the thing is that I was talking earlier about alignment. And so if I'm speaking, I'm a terrible person. This is just awful. This is just awful. Ugh, everything in my life stinks. But I am every day, I'm getting up and I'm working hard and I'm being creative and I'm like following my heart and just doing all these things. Then I've kind of got the worst of both worlds.
Mhm.
Because what I am speaking out is actually contradicting and undermining the effort that I'm putting in. So it's like I'm doing all the work, but I'm not really cashing the check.
That is so important on so many levels. Not only is it important for our personal actions to align with our words that we're saying, but also we can experience that in other people.
Yeah. But
So,
we'll see the other way where somebody's like, I am a enlightened goddess and I am just this incredible and beautiful person. Time to go smoke pot all day and do nothing.
yeah,
And it's like, really?
yeah.
So
And
you can go the other way and speak
yeah,
all these just beautiful
things
words over
things
yourself,
should
but
things
there's no
should
alignment.
match up.
Yeah.
They say they're going to do this, they
Yeah.
do this. They say they're this person, it turns out they are.
Right.
If they don't, believe them. They're showing you exactly who they are.
Well, and I guess that's what would be another thing is as a spiritual discipline, make a practice of keeping your word.
Yes.
And when you do that, even when oh man, this sucks. How did I get myself into this? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. If you make an effort to keep your word, all of a sudden you'll find things like prayers get answered. Because when if I'm like kind of breaking my word all the time, breaking my word all the time, breaking my word all the time, it's like I'm spending my human capital. I'm spending the energy, the kind of the prayer energy that God has given me, and I'm just kind of wasting it. But all of a sudden, it's just like, oh no, this is in line. It's like if you ever do martial arts, it's like
Mhm.
they teach you how to or like boxing or anything like that. They teach you how to align your body to where when you strike, you can strike hard. And it's like I am punching from the soles of my feet all the way up. In boxing, they call it sitting down on a punch because you kind of just like the way you move
Mhm.
your body. And so it's like if you're just kind of flicking your fist out there, there's no alignment. But if you're sitting down on that punch, your entire body is going through that motion.
Okay.
I didn't know
So,
we were talking about this, but
but
here we are.
again, bringing it
Alignment.
alignment. That's what we're
So,
talking about.
detox. I think there's this way, though, that
You need to, okay, let's be brutally honest, okay? What everybody needs to do is they need to go through the list of the people that they talk the most to, and they need to decide who needs to be brought out of their circle. Is that true?
kind of, yeah.
It's true. You need to get rid of the people who have been bringing you down. If you're the one in the relationship that's always giving advice, helping them up, building them up, telling them it's going to be okay over and over, and there's really like literally nothing there for you, and there should be some sort of reciprocity within friendships.
Let's bring our, no, I understand that. And I understand where you're going and I understand the connection to all this stuff. A lot of our audience understands it. Let's bring our science people up to speed with us. Cause there's some people who's just like detox, man. I'm trying to get these heavy metals out, or I've got too much, I've got PCBs or, whatever. So
For
let's
example.
connect that. Do you want me to, or do you want to?
I don't know. I'm talking about getting toxic people out of your life.
I understand that, but I'm just saying that like a detox, a lot of
We
what we do
talked about it in
anyway.
the first couple seconds, and that is not what it is. We can have an entire episode, which we have, on toxins and how you need to get those out. But the truth is, you and I both know that people come in to see us, and we have to talk to them about their relationships and the toxicity that they are bringing into the relationship and the toxicity that they are absorbing from other people within relationships.
Functionally what we see, and some of this is like, you can call it what you like, but number one, stress and negative energy has to go somewhere. And if it's constantly coming out of somebody, like say like a friend who is giving like kind of dumping a lot of negative emotions all the time, that stress, there's an exchange. There's an emotional exchange. It's almost kind of an spiritual exchange happening. And if you kind of like listen to somebody just like go off about how much they hate their wife, hate their husband, or whatever. And then you just kind of hang up the phone or you just kind of like walk out of the restaurant or whatever. And you're just like,
I'm exhausted.
I'm exhausted, or I'm this, or I'm that, or I'm just like, man, I just got to go for a run. Well, something's wrong here. Like, what's wrong here? And that's because
You have become the emotional
You
dumping
become the
ground.
emotional dumping ground. Now, oh, well, okay, some weird emotions. Okay, great. But what happens? People that are emotional dumping grounds have a certain positive correlation of either A, lifestyle behaviors that lead to needing a detox. So it's like that's where emotional eating, alcoholism, binge drinking, smoking, and a lot of these types of
Promiscuity
yeah, sexual promiscuity. Let's see, just certain lifestyles. Or even just kind of all of a sudden you're just like,
can never financially be stable, always
um,
in a crisis.
or just, and it just kind of blends. If you're just like, well, if his wife was capable of that, then what's going on over here?
Mhm.
And it just kind of unconsciously, you're living out and you're almost acting out somebody else's emotional state. And so it's like negative energy, negative emotional energy doesn't disappear except by the will of God.
Yeah. That doesn't mean we can't pray for somebody. That doesn't mean we can't be present to somebody if we choose to go in and do that.
Yeah.
Right. But there are some people who will come in and, you know,
Yeah.
if you're listening and you're like, I don't know.
And as an adult, there's a capacity. So I can
Yes.
consciously,
Listen to
something bad happened to
somebody.
my friend. I'm going to listen to you and I'm going to be
Totally.
compassionate.
And I'm not saying that friends can't have those moments with each
Sucks to be
other.
you, man.
But if it's just a
Later.
constant battle of just over and over and you're having the
Mhm.
same conversation, it's like something needs to shift.
Well, and then so I made a promise. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it. We were talking about. I was saying, well, how does this hit the road for our science people? It hits the road because you'll just see these very noticeable positive correlations between certain personality types and certain diagnoses.
Actually,
So
yes.
people that come in with difficulty quitting smoking, grief, unprocessed grief, and this is just like there's kind of this deep, like kind of inhale and just dragging in all the world's problems, and then just blow it out. This one's for me. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
you see these kinds of things. And even with certain disease
Hold on
processes.
a second. I'm going to go one layer deeper on that.
Okay.
Grief in my system is loss of control.
Yes, you can't do anything. Life stinks. I'm going to just go on a smoke
Yeah.
break.
Yeah.
And I mean, whatever. I'm not picking on anybody in a former
Yeah.
life.
Grief is loss of
I used to
control.
smoke
Yeah.
and there was a lot of grief. There was a lot
Yeah.
of grief. I don't mean literally like past life regression or anything weird like that. I mean, in my 20s, I was dealing with a lot of things and I used to smoke. And there was a ton of unprocessed grief and among other things.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the types of things that you'll see. And
So we can have compassion for those things. And I
absolutely.
definitely have compassion for those things.
Yeah.
However, if you're like, you know what, 2026, I'm going to detox, you need to be detoxing some of these people out of your life.
Right. We're not going to be, and then let's be honest.
Okay, just say it, your face.
Oh, I'm just like, oh, it's just, there's this layer,
We can always cut it out if we need to.
whatever. No, lifestyle choices.
Yeah.
Lifestyle. The other thing that's going to connect like our like kind of science people to why the people and like what we're doing and the content we're consuming. It's like if I'm spending all day doom scrolling, biologically, I'm telling my nervous system that
Well, that's
I might have only seconds, hours, or days to live. That's not really going to be like saving for retirement or like trying to live.
mm,
And so all of a sudden, in these kind of like death is imminent, you know, life is, you're just going to die any day. Your body's going to respond to that stimuli and it's going to live like that. So detoxing, weight loss, like living a nice, long, healthy, and productive life, all that's out the door. And it's just like, how do I get through the day? And, tomorrow we die.
yeah. Well, that goes in with we're talking about digital detox because
Hmm.
the other thing that we're going to be listening to all the time is the content that we consume. Hopefully, Fire Your Doctor is great content and builds you up and gives you lots of great information and helps you to be a better, more well rounded individual.
I'm pretty well rounded. That's part of why I want to detox.
That's another thing. So, the content stimulation gives you cortisol, makes anxiety, leads to poor sleep, leads to hypervigilance, leads
Weight
to
gain.
weight gain, leads to all these
Oh,
things.
and the kind of what is it? The despicable me body type, where you kind of have like,
Grew,
yeah, GRU, where you have like fat on the back of your neck, a very big kind of
barrel
barrel
chest,
chest,
skinny
skinny
little
arms,
legs.
skinny legs. You can't really get like arm muscles, but your belly and you're just going to be this. Yeah, so it's cortisol.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And we need some cortisol, but we also need cortisol when we need it.
And so that's where it becomes silence and stillness, and that becomes the medicine. So
Yeah.
it's if there is, okay, number one, if there is something on your phone right now where you literally cannot go one day without looking at on the phone, you need to detox from it. If there is a show or a series that you can literally not go 1 week without watching, you need to detox from it. We should never be that hooked into something. And that's hard to hear. There's things I like to look at for sure. And I've had to pull them off my phone. I used to have an app on my phone. It was a social media app. I will not name names, but I was on it all the time, kind of doom scrolling, mostly during COVID. And I was like, well, it's okay because I'm getting the news and I'm getting the information. And the truth
Somebody's
is,
finally telling it how it really is.
it was
And
so,
all that's true.
and it was better news than any of the news that you would see online. And I was getting it 3 months in advance and I was ahead of the curve and all of this, but it was just destroying me. I was becoming a nervous wreck and I didn't like it. And so I really prayed over it. And God was like, just delete the app. Just delete the app. You don't need to look at this stuff. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, I
And
think there's a fine line between being aware
yeah.
and being
And
consumed.
then it kind of snuck back in during the election series. And now I've completely cut it off. It's been months now.
Yeah.
So it's like,
you're better for it.
I'm better for it. I really am. And I think if there's something like that on your phone today, be honest with yourself. And if you're like, I don't know, is it? It is. It probably is. Then just take it off your phone. Just take it off your phone. You don't need it. Go ahead and text your friend directly. You don't need it. And I think that's really important. And it's also preventing you from doing the thing that you really want to do. You'd have a lot of time on your hands if you didn't scroll all the time. Am I right?
That's true. Well,
it's hard. I mean, we like it. We like social media. We're not anti that. However, we need to own the time that we spend on social media, not social media owning the time we spend on it.
Yeah. And it's like, what happens when it's just kind of you alone with your thoughts?
That's an important time too. That's a very important time. And I've been adding that into my life. In the morning, I will come down right here, actually, in this room, in this chair, even, usually not with bright lights and cameras on. But this is a place where I will sit in silence and I will wait for my creator to tell me what he needs me to know. And it's a really important healing and restorative time. And I highly recommend doing that.
Sometimes I find that when I am like free of all of those distractions and things, my mind just starts kind of just coming up with really cool ideas too. And so there's this way though that it's like, oh, now, like in the Bible, they put it as it's in like Numbers and Exodus. God tells Moses that he's imparting a spirit of craftsmanship and like a Holy Spirit that will give them the ability to give certain individuals the ability to like work creatively with things like metal,
like a metal worker and a fabric. Yeah, I remember that.
Somebody's making fabric and somebody's going to be really good at design, and then there's going to be people that are gifted in music, and these kind of things will pour out. And so it's like, what is waiting for you? And then in kind of other spiritual traditions, you would hear it as like the muse. And it's like, or even just like comedians and people that write songs and kind of pop musicians and stuff, you'll hear it's just like they have this system, and it's like, if I don't show up, I've got to show up with like a pen and pad or whatever it is, and I just got to like sit still and like listen.
Yeah.
Or just start writing or whatever their process is, but they've got to be somewhat disciplined in that process to like tune out the clutter and just, find that voice inside of them.
Yeah. What is waiting for you on the other side of these distractions?
Bunch of neat things to think about, honestly.
Yeah. Here's what's really interesting. We rarely get time with just each other.
It's true.
And we will do this thing when we do get that time.
You're talking about vacations?
Yes, like a vacation, like time away, and give us like, I don't know, 2 or 3 days into it when we're supposed to be chilling, and we will chill, maybe get a sauna, go for a run, do, whatever we're going to do. And then all of a sudden, we just start coming up with projects and ideas. We got to do this. Oh, that's such a good idea. We should do it like this.
Some of them actually happen.
Some of them, like this one right here, probably came out of something like that. But
Yeah, dude.
but definitely, yeah, just if you make time for that stillness, if you're one of those people who likes to create, all of a sudden the creativity will come out.
There's a difference between urgency and important.
Yes.
So
Really, Mr. Lockwood, tell me about that.
urgent is something where it's short term and there's a short term acute penalty if you don't deal with it. For instance, like, I don't know, I'm broke down on the side of the road. That might be urgent, but it's not important in the grand scheme of your life. It's like a year later, 5 years later, 10 years later, as long as you can get your car back, like we've solved this. But there is
And
this,
that you survived it,
yeah, we
obviously.
survived. I mean, there's this way that the urgent can replace the important. So
Mhm.
important might be spending time with your kids, finishing your book, taking night classes and getting that new career.
Mhm.
These things are important, but there's so many things that can be urgent that can distract you from those important things. Like in 5 or 10 years, it's just like, you know what? I wish I would have done that with my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's
and so
I remember those moments. I remember the moment I decided to go back to be a doctor. Like, if I wouldn't have made that choice, I don't know, it would have been different.
But there's any number of urgent things that could have stopped that.
Oh, there was a lot of urgent things that came in
Like,
to
it's never
stop it.
convenient to,
Yeah. To take 6 years off and go to
yeah.
school.
Well, and move out of state
Oh,
and do all
yeah,
this
there was
stuff,
a
yeah.
lot of sacrifice involved. Okay, so then we have the eyes and ears. They're the gateways, and media programs become a threat. They could be, obviously, they could inform you of something going on that you have to deal with right now, right? But there's also a lot of just trying to get your attention news. Like
Urgent, but not important.
we were listening to this program, and the program was like 3 hours long, and it was a news program. And Rich was like, "Man, I don't got 3 hours." I was like, he's going to repeat himself every 20 minutes for 3 hours is basically what's going to happen. And we listened to it. And in 20 minutes, we got all the highlights of everything he was ever going to say. And we moved on, right? That's the other thing. I think we get hooked in, and we just are like, wow, I got to hear every word of this.
Yeah. In a lot of content mediums these days, digital content, there is kind of this formula, and you get about 30 seconds of, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." And the video is like 15 minutes long or, the magic like 12 and a half minutes long. And it's just like, can I just have my time back?
Mhm.
You guys could have just told me this in a minute. I
Yeah.
guess it's true for books and a lot
Yep.
of like things too.
Which is why we're going to be making sure that we finish on time.
Why you want to land this plane?
We're going to land the plane. What we consume visually affects us in our physiology. It actually affects our brain function. It affects our ability to sleep. Even just extra exposure to blue light can affect our
Well, we could go
circadian rhythm.
further and just say that one of the things that the 21st century has brought us is mass market adult content.
Yes.
And, we're talking about eyes as gateways. There is a growing subset, generally men, some women, that are so addicted to online adult content that they're starting to get things like ED. And
Erectile dysfunction.
I was trying to just kind of couch it a little bit
I
because
know, but some people don't know that term.
yeah, but
They probably
there's
know it.
people in their 20s that are starting to show these symptoms because their
Yes.
body is so trained to respond to a phone or a laptop or whatever device that is providing them that stimulus that they are getting to where there's trouble even having that in real life with a real
Yeah.
person that they love.
Having proper intimacy with people that they
And
want
so
to.
these gateways and stuff like that and digital detox, it's like, that's how far the rabbit hole goes. And even like getting into a lot of the content, like if you really start looking at it just with discernment, a lot of the videos that you might like, there's a lot more of a demand than there is a supply. And so it's all going to be AI in a few years. And it already is.
Mhm.
You want cute cat videos? It's like all of a sudden somebody's like, well, wait a minute. I can have an AI make me cute cats all day long and get all the money and not actually have to go find a real cat.
Yeah, it's really well, and this idea of discernment, especially for what we consume, is teaching our children and teaching ourselves what is real too.
Yeah.
What is real? Like, is that realistic, or is this a computer making me think this is realistic?
There was a futurist podcast that I was listening to a lot, like 7 or 8 years ago, but he had this thing that he was like, listen, guys, social media is the new cigarettes. And it's like you're waiting for a bus, and it's like, it's just like, okay, you
What's
unroll your
going
sleeve and light
mhm.
one up. Strikes, here we go.
Yeah,
Waiting for a
it's just
streetcar.
it's
And
a
now it's ubiquitous. It's just
yeah,
like, oh, waiting for the dentist. Just light up a stogie, and
yeah.
it's Facebook.
We talked about this earlier with idle words. Words can actually create biology, meaning what you say, your body will actually go towards. And your nervous system likes to talk almost a little bit like Yoda. So if you say, I don't want to ever blank, 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 it's like what you resist will persist. It's going to go in the direction of what you don't want. I can't be like that person. And all of a sudden you're saying exactly what that person says,
This
right?
gets into kind of like another spiritual principle of like forgiveness. If I'm focused on, well, that guy ripped me off, and I'm so mad that that guy ripped me off. It's like that can almost, that not almost, it can definitely, it can start to become a rig. So
Mm-hmm.
mentally, a rig is like this idea that is just cemented into your brain. And then once that guy ripped me off, then it's so rig representation. That guy ripped me off. And then it's internalized, and you
Mm-hmm.
just like it's on repeat every day. That guy ripped me off. That guy ripped me off. And then it's internalized, and then it's generalized, and then it's people
People
rip
rip me
me
off.
off. And it's like, well, if people just rip you off, well, guess what? You'd be justified in ripping them off first.
Yeah.
And so now we're doing what we hate.
Yep. And then that kind of goes with those idle words, right? And you can either bless yourself, you can bless somebody, or you can curse yourself. You can just say like you said, everybody is going to rip me off, or there's no good people left in the world, and who cares? I'll do it. I'll do it because everybody else is doing it, and it just becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy of
Yeah. And maybe there are there
negativity.
there are some bad people in the world,
Yep.
and maybe in your area, maybe you gotta dig, and you've gotta hunt around to find somebody that is
Yep.
really good and aligns with your values. But if you're coming at it with that rig of everybody leaves me, everybody's gonna rip me off, everybody's like something, you're never gonna you will just insult, brush off, or tell them to go jump in a lake when you actually do meet the one person that would have with you till the end.
There was this I was listening on a podcast. He was talking about how back in the day, and maybe they still do this, but tellers that worked at banks, they would practice by like counting the bills and handling the money by hand because it would train them to know when they had
Fakes.
fakes.
Yeah.
So they only train with real,
I'm pretty
real,
good at
real,
that.
real, real, real. This is fake.
No, it's
Right. So it's like we have to train our bodies to know when we are in an authentic situation with a real person, with a not AI bot on all this is part of that discernment and that training. And then what's our inner talk with that, right? How are we
yeah.
blessing ourselves? How are we blessing our marriages? How are we blessing or cursing ourselves? And that goes with, obviously from a Christian standpoint, that would be prayer, then the confession, repentance, and forgiveness. But in the non-Christian sense, in the secular sense, it would be, self-talk, affirmation, and what would it be?
Well, repentance is change.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm
Repentance
not
is
gonna do
like,
that
I'm not
anymore.
going to do it anymore. Change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you can't, like, basically you start having to just kind of move up the chain of command. So then you get into kind of like deals and like things like that and stuff. And there's certain things that you can say, like, you know what? No, I'm a parent, I'm a dad now, I'm a mom now, and you can kind of invoke that and get more authority to make a change. But eventually you'll get to the end, and then there's only one thing, and it's God.
Yeah.
And then that's where it's like, now you're making a deal with God. God, I can't stop this. I must stop this. I must make this change. Help me make this change. And
Yep.
then all of a sudden it happens. And then the tendency is God just works so smooth that after it is, and it's just so organic and just like, it just fits like a glove, that it's tempting to just be like, well, I guess that was just a big coincidence. And it's
Yeah.
like, no, beloved, your
Yeah.
entire life is radically transformed.
Ask us of how we know that one.
Uh,
Our quote today is from Matthew 6, 22 through 23. This is the amplified version. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye is clear, spiritually perceptive, that is, your whole body will be full of light. If the light in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? So that goes with, what we see, what we hear, what we agree with programs the nervous system toward either light or darkness. You get to choose.
Yeah. And basically, it's saying that if you stare into the abyss, eventually the abyss will stare back.
Yeah, it's true. All right, Detox, folks. Thank you for joining us on episode 32. We'll see you next time. Thanks.